The Buffalo Bills make a statement on opening night, and Ryan Miller has made the USA Hockey Hall of Fame. We'll talk rundown, trivia, hot takes, and more. This is the Buffalonian Podcast. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by Dom Loss.
And only Dom Loss.
Unfortunately, not Mike Marino this week. He's a little too busy to fit us into his schedule, so he's not gone. He's definitely not gone. He's coming back. So
we think.
We think. One episode, hopefully. It's a two-man pod. First time, first try. We're going to give it a whirl, give it a try. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it with some Buffalo Bills news. What a game. The Bills make an absolute statement win over the defending Super Bowl champs, the Rams, last Thursday. Dom, just what's your takeaway?
I thought it was I can't remember if it was Tirico or Collinsworth that said it's rare to see the defending Super Bowl champs play the favorites to win the Super Bowl next year.
No, absolutely. And to be favored in that game.
Yeah, many people didn't,
thought it was disrespectful.
As we talked about, people thought it was disrespectful. I mean, honestly, they should have been favored by more points. They won by 21. Yeah. It felt like it was worse than that.
Well, each home team technically is supposed to be a field goal, right? They give them a field goal, 3 points.
Usually in gambling laws, you get 3 points, yes.
Yeah, and just to...
Home field advantage should get 3 points.
Yeah, have 0... Well, it's also...
That's also like home field advantage question mark for
quote,
LA?
Unquote, yeah. That's what I was just about to say. The LA Rams, more like the St. Louis Rams with no fan base in LA. There were more Bills fans there than LA fans, and that's across the country. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Like,
listen, Bills Mafia travels, man.
They do. My parents included. They went. It was. They said it was an awesome... SoFi, though, is actually... Like, I got pictures. All stuff aside about the Rams, SoFi is a beautiful stadium.
It's one of the newer stadiums too. So
state of the art.
Hopefully the Bills can.
Hopefully the new stadium's not. Yeah. It's not going to be like that
because of the weather.
But hopefully it's an upgrade. Like I don't.
Okay, well, obviously it's going to be an upgrade.
Well, I know, but still, like I don't want it to be like like the same sort of deal, just like concrete. You know what I mean? Like,
I would trust that the Pagulas will at least have decent.
Hopefully.
Architect.
I mean, have we heard anything about Kim Bagula?
No.
I heard she's recovering. They mentioned that on Thursday night.
I believe on the broadcast they said something, shouting her out, saying that she's doing better and she's recovering. But I think it was only Terry in the suite. So
it was, yeah. But I mean, Terry Pagula, I'd be worried because Terry Pagula has no idea. It's all Kim Pagula who's been running the show pretty much. So
yeah, I think he's just a checkbook. But before
he's the moneymaker.
Before that's true. Before we get into games, the game, talking about certain players, certain aspects of the game, let's talk a little bit about the pregame. Obviously, we talked a little bit about them, the Bills being favored, people kind of doubting that. I mean, I think. Only 2 people on the Sunday Night Football broadcast picked the Bills?
It was Chris Sims and someone else.
Yeah, it was Chris Sims and Rodney Harrison, because I think Dungy picked the Rams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was, I don't know, that's at least 12 people, I think, on that panel, so it was 10-2.
The final time, the Thursday night game won't be on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, because Amazon Prime does have the rights. It's always kind of weird that the first game of the year is Thursday Night Football on NBC, NBC holds the rights, but
right.
I think an interesting talking about it though pregame was the inactive list for the Bills. So So the rule is if you hold a certain amount of offensive linemen, you could have 48 players active.
Mm-hmm.
So
I didn't see this. I don't know. I don't even know where you're going with this. What is it?
Well, like the people that were inactive?
Well, yeah, like who was... I didn't even check that. I was more excited to just watch the game. I kind of glossed over it.
Well, obviously Quentin Morris and Tommy Doyle, the 2 people we were talking about as having, injury destination, designates of, being questionable. They did not play. And then the 3 healthy scratches were Cam Lewis, Quentin Morris. I'm sorry, not Quentin Morris. I'm sorry, Shaq Lawson, and Khalil Shakir.
Khalil Shakir, yeah.
You didn't think of like...
No, I knew Shakir. They were talking about Shakir quite a bit.
So I think that's the one that I would... So Cam Lewis is just kind of like an extra DB, special team. I'm not...
Even Shaq Lawson's interesting.
Shaq Lawson's interesting, but it's not like they needed him,
No, Boogie Basham showed up.
But I would say against, when you play like the Ravens or you play the Titans, as we're going to talk about, next pod.
Yeah.
Maybe Shaq Lawson does get active because they need another D lineman.
Right. I mean, the defense
And
had zero struggle. I mean, they were going crazy. No blitzes and 7 sacks. Crazy. So
I mean, honestly, you got to say, though, like, Khalil Shakur, out of everyone that was healthy, not playing, was probably the biggest winner.
Yeah.
Seeing that Isaiah McKenzie drops a pick. Drops a catch that leads to a pick.
Right. And that was honestly, he didn't pull it in. The guy picked it up right out of his arms. It was bobbling. So
it hit him right in the chest. And it wasn't like it was a bad throw. Actually,
no. And that's a pick I hate to see on Allen's tally because like that hit him right where it needed to.
Right in the hands. And I think that what was interesting about that too is like I think someone was making the point that it was a hospital pass where if he would have caught, he would have got drilled by a linebacker. But someone's an analyst slowed down the video and said, actually no, Josh throwing it down low.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
actually would have saved him if he caught it.
Right, he would have been on the ground. Yeah.
So I think Shakur, I think Crowder actually looked pretty good. I know we dogged on him and called him the Peloton guy, but I mean riding the bike at training camp all the time. He looked very good. Even returning, I liked him. I think he was this is true. I think he was the third highest graded offensive player according to PFF behind Diggs and Allen. Well, they shut down Knox, and McKenzie didn't really. He got that touchdown. You know what I mean? But, and Davis had a pretty nice night. Diggs and Davis had a great night. So Crowder had a couple, nice third down, a couple nice little plays in the middle of the field. Had a very nice punt return. Yeah. So I mean that might be negative for Shakir, but I think he could get active because James Cook fumbled. Yeah, that was tough. So did Zach Moss, and it was kind of like. What? I think people were saying that Shakir was inactive because they wanted to keep Moss and Crowder active. Mm-hmm. And now that Moss fumbled, mm-hmm. I mean, like he was bad too. Well, yeah, I mean, he looked at the beginning of the game, he was actually semi-okay, and then he fell apart. He crumbled. It's classic Zach Moss, though. Like first 3 runs are always for a gain, and they look nice, and then he falls apart. It's like he'll have like a run of 8 yards, and then he'll have 3 other carries for a grand total of 4 yards. Yeah, and then he fumbles. Next thing you know, you're looking at 3 yards of carry, and you're like, that's trash. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, and you're thinking to yourself, well, he had a nice little 8-yard run, and it's like, well, he just doesn't have the explosiveness. Right. I mean, even Singletary looked good, though. No, Singletary did look good. Yeah, Singletary had a nice night. I think he picked up right where he left off last season, and I love to see that. I'm a big motor guy. Honestly, God, they need to feed him more. Like they need to give him like the running back 1 reps. Like no more. Oh, they should. No more switching them out. Zach Moss and James Cook. James Cook's a rookie, right? James Cook gets some more touches in like certain exactly. People were tweeting out, "See you in week 7 with your next touch." I was like, "It's James Cook. He's a rookie. You got to let him go." Zach Moss has no excuses at this point, and I mean, that's where I've been saying, and like I liked him in the preseason. I really did. I picked him up on waivers in one fantasy league because I thought he might actually do something. But Singletary's the clear RB1 in my RB1 eyes. And also a really important thing for Devin. Never been the best pass protector in the world. Right. He pass protected very well on Thursday night. He did. And that's kind of what Zach Moss' MO is a very good blitz pickup, very good protector. So then if you take that away from Moss, that's his attribute. So if Singletary can replace that, then like why is Moss doesn't play special team? So like at that point, like get Shakir active. I kind of wish. Oh, they did sign. Did they sign Johnson back to the practice squad or no? Duke Johnson? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So there are decent people. If you ever did be like Zach Moss, you're gone. Like you they would never cut him though. No. You don't think? No. Did you see? Speaking of cutting, this popped in my head. OJ Howard had quite a night over in they played in Texas, did they? Houston? Yeah, Houston. They did play in Houston. Yeah. Jerry Hughes also had an interception. Listen, this is my point about OJ Howard. OJ Howard did not play well enough, in my opinion, to really warrant a roster spot. Exactly, because Tommy Sweeney and Dawson Knox outplayed him in the preseason. But you cannot tell me that OJ Howard is not better. Like, you can't tell me that Tommy Sweeney is better than OJ Howard. No, I can't. But just no, you just can't. Like, Tommy Sweeney was terrible again. No. Yeah. He still is. He's a blocking tight end. He's not even a good blocking tight end. No, but he is a blocking tight end. That's just what I'm saying. Like you're not going to send him like Knox. You can send on a tight end attack halfway down the field, and he's able to catch that. He's not Dawson Drops anymore. He was. Listen, there's a reason why Quinton Morris was listed in the depth chart as tight end 2 over Tommy Sweeney.
Exactly.
And when Quentin Morris gets healthy,
people were surprised by that.
Yeah.
And my question for you is why? Why? What's so
he played
surprising?
better. Well, Quentin Morris, I think when he gets healthy, Tommy Sweeney's gonna be healthy scratch. Like, and then at that point, it's like OJ Howard. Like, honestly, like, it's not like, listen, embarrassments of the riches, sure, but like for the cap that they had to sack, like the cap that they had to lose. Now the good thing is they get. I'm not a cap expert, but they get cap savings towards their salary cap next year if he stays on an NFL roster for the entire year.
Right.
So him catching 2 touchdowns for Houston's a pretty good sign for that.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Yeah.
Also, if we're talking about ex-Bills, our boy Jerry Hughes.
Yeah, big boy Jerry had a pick.
Jerry Hughes. Ready for this? Second highest graded, I believe, defender in PFF.
Who's the first?
My defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett.
Yep. I knew it because that defense tore apart Baker Mayfield pretty bad. Pretty bad.
I wonder who picked the Browns here. The two of us.
And I'm the only one who picked the Steelers.
Okay.
We'll talk about that on the
Jets.
next pod. I did pick the Jets. What I trust. That's what I was thinking.
All right, so
but we'll talk more about that next pod.
So we talking pregame, let's talk about before we talk about the end result and what we think about certain players after that. Just
who was bad?
Who was bad? Who was good? Who surprised? Who disappointed?
Okay.
What was your thoughts at halftime? 10-10 game. LA gets the ball first. 3 turnover first half. Felt like they dominated. I think the yards per play for the Bills was 6.7. The Rams was 3.4. Like, it was a dominant first half, but look at the score.
The score was 10-10.
The score, and it's a 0-0 game pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of where my head was at. I felt like we were killing them, but then you look at the scoreboard and it's like, how is this tied? I think it's honestly warm-up game first half. I'm going to be honest with you. Josh Allen played 3 snaps in the preseason.
Sure.
Wait,
did the halftime make you like angry or did it make you like confident? Like, hey,
I was confident.
We're
with the 3 interceptions, they still did not.
3 turnovers.
3 turnovers.
2
yes.
interceptions.
2 interceptions. Sorry, 3 turnovers. Even with the 3 turnovers, we were still looked at as the more dominant team, and it was a 0-0 game. Cooper Kupp started going off in that end of the first half though, which was a little.
I think that was a little concerning.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy, our pass coverage is starting to go down.
The thing that I thought of, at halftime was, there's 4 big units. I'm sorry, no just special teams, but the Bills' offense, defense.
I mean, special teams did play well. I will say
Rams' offense and defense, and I would say, who do you trust more right now? And I would say I trust the Bills' defense and the Bills' defensive line to keep killing the Rams' line. Mm-hmm. And then I would also my second unit I would trust more would be Josh Allen, Ken Dorsey figuring out, how to, because they were moving the ball.
Yes, there were just a couple stupid mistakes, and that's really all you can say for the first.
I guess it's also being a son of a lawyer, but in certain moments of the game, you gotta be like, would you rather be the Bills or would you rather be the Rams? And I think people would be saying at halftime, I'd rather be what the Bills are right now.
Right, Super Bowl favorites, and they showed it. I honestly, Von Miller looked like he was 20 years old on that D-line. He really did. He looked like he was back in Denver, and I was going crazy. His little dances he would do after he got a sack. He was. And they did that without Ed Oliver for the second half, pretty much.
Yeah, that's gonna be an injury to monitor for sure.
Yeah, but still, look at how dominant they were. Granted, Rams' offensive line without Andrew Whitworth.
Yeah, but it was still supposed to be a decent offensive line. But,
right.
I mean, they just killed them. I think
our offensive line, to me,
played bad.
What?
I think they played bad. You thought the Bills' offensive line played good?
For pass protection, yeah.
No, they didn't.
They let Aaron Donald got one time.
Dude.
Because Allen moved up.
My guy. Do you know how quick Allen was still on the ball?
Yeah, 2.3 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why was he doing that?
Because he knew Aaron Donald was coming through. They gave him that 2.3 seconds, though. And
okay,
if they fell apart like how they used to, crumbled immediately, you wouldn't even have those 2.3 seconds.
I think the Bills' offensive line did enough this week. I don't think they played particularly well. Obviously, Dion, didn't surrender a single pressure. He was very good. Mm-hmm. I thought Spencer Brown had some whiffs, but going against Leonard Floyd, I thought he held his own for the most part, and that's a pretty good pass rusher there. And then I thought Mitch Morris actually played pretty well, but the guards, again, you're going against Aaron Donald, sure, but it was also, A'Shawn Robinson, it was also Greg Gaines. Like, those guys in the middle for the Rams did cause problems, and there's a reason why some of those runs, the running game.
No, that's why I said, like, passing game, like, Allen getting it off and giving them.
Yeah, but
I
don't think that's a credit to the offensive line. That's a credit to Ken Dorsey and Josh Allen figuring out a good quality game plan to understand that your offensive line could struggle. And the offensive line struggle. Now, Grant, this is their first game together. Really, Saffold's getting the full.
Well, yeah, technically the full.
Bates played left guard last year. Yeah, left guard. So him going to right guard. Again, and Spencer Brown's in his second year, and he played 12, 13
games. Yeah, he had COVID or was injured or something.
He didn't have a full season either. So again, I think it will all work out. But I think the offensive line. Again, we're going to talk about in the next pod, but they still have they have a really tough test next week, even without Harold Landry for the Titans, with Jeff Simmons and those boys.
Yeah.
But
speaking of the Titans, just real fast, Brian Dable, congratulations. The Giants take down Derrick Henry and the Titans.
Congrats to Dable, great human being. Really, it's really cool to see this. But I gotta say this right now.
Ken Dorsey.
No,
I thought you were going offensive coordinator.
No, I am going to talk about the offense. This person needs some respect. Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
I think because he's a defensive head coach, people like to think that he's not involved in the offense one bit, and the man's title is head coach.
Yeah.
No,
he's got his fingers everywhere. He's in the marionette master.
I think, first off, congratulations to McDermott, too, being, I believe, the third coach in Bills history, I should say, to get 50 career regular season wins.
Oh, so yeah, congratulations.
That's quite an accomplishment. But, for McDermott, I think the growth from where he was in 2017 with Rick Dennison and being a very conservative offense, very conservative head coach, to what he is now, which is, he's a very analytical head coach. He's very aggressive.
He's got his hands on both sides of the wheel.
There's a reason why they're a pass first team. I think he really thinks, he's analytical driven, and it's always, listen, the analysts always tell you that passing the ball is way more efficient than running the ball. And I think the Bills believe that. I think that's a philosophy for the Bills.
Right.
And I think, yes, Dable's a great offensive coordinator. Yes, I think Ken Dorsey, I know it's only a game in, but he looked pretty darn good too.
Right.
But I think a guy that, always seems to, not get as much respect or love for what the offense is Sean McDermott.
Right. Yeah, you're right, because he is defensive minded. He came from a defensive position on the Panthers. People automatically are like, he's not going to have his hands in the offense at all. He knows who his quarterback is. He knows what it's about, and he's going to let him rip. And I have to applaud Ken Dorsey as well. I saw this on the NFL Network, and I thought it was a great quote. I don't remember who said it, but they applauded him for not taking the offense and trying to make it his own and be obvious about it. He took what worked and went with it. And you know what? He didn't make the stupid mistakes Dable did. He didn't run it 3 times on the first time out. He didn't try stuffing it up the middle. He let the offense do what the offense is made to do.
Schemes.
They did.
Because Aaron Comer, again, also underrated about McDermott, consistently finds really smart offensive-minded guys to hire. He hired, Dable. He hired, obviously, Dorsey. He elevated, but, Joe Brady comes in as the quarterback coach. Aaron Cromer with, from the McVay, Shanahan tree on the offensive line. And you see it with their runs. You see, on film how they would motion Reggie Gilliam or Dawson Knox as a tight end or fullback to the side where the defense had a disadvantage, not enough dudes, where then they would snap it, the motion guy would come, and all of a sudden you have 4 guys blocking for your running back with 2 defenders in the area, and that's how you get those yardage. And once, I think, again, with the Bills running game, I think once the offensive line gets some chemistry, once I think Singletary, gets more of those reps, once James Cook, gets over the yips a little, I think we're gonna get a very solid run game, hopefully to protect Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and it's you see it happening right in front of your eyes. The future right now Super Bowl favorite, the Bills, have dethroned the defending champions, and for now, but you can't help but see okay, they're legit. You know what I mean? It's that second half when they were all together, that was phenomenal.
I think that's what we learned about the Bills is that.
And now people can't discredit it anymore. I feel like.
I think what we learned about the Bills is that this team is different from last year. This defense last year was statistically ranked number 1 defense.
It wasn't really though.
But it was a top 10 defense.
Yeah, it was. But there was no run defense. That was fraudulent. The fact that they were ranked number 1.
And that's what they kept bringing on the broadcast. And it's 100% right. This defense is a lot different from last year. They got their D line is so much improved with the young guys. Obviously, adding Vaughn.
And Vaughn also took a lot of those young guys under his wing and did a lot of work with them.
But also Daquan Jones, Tim Settle, Jordan Phillips, those 3 guys joining the interior of the defensive line. Those are some big dudes.
Jordan Phillips had a nice sack the other night too. That was phenomenal.
He was a beast.
Yeah,
he has those games where he's a beast, and hopefully he doesn't disappear.
No, I think he tweeted out. He's like, "Put me in a Bills uniform. This is what you get. They sleeping on me or something." It was so funny. I was like, "You're right, Jordan Phillips.
Good for you. Take your victory lap, big guy."
Yeah.
But I think it's important to see the Bills made a lot of really good defensive line changes, and right now it's covering for the fact that they have a very young defensive backs. Also, I can't believe we're how long are we in the pod? 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we haven't brought up the fact that Christian Benford started over Kyer.
Yeah.
And Christian Benford, by the way,
phenomenal.
Outplayed Kyer.
He did.
He had a better grade on PFF. I think he played better from the eye test perspective.
Yeah. He made a couple clutch plays, and I was all for him.
Dane Jackson also played very well too. So I think the depth.
Taron Johnson too.
Taron Johnson was solid too. I think we talked about do they have the depth without Trey? And I think
they do.
For now they do.
I think they honestly might have the depth when Trey comes back. You could rotate some guys in and out.
Well, Trey's gonna stay out there.
Well, I know that, but what I'm saying is you got.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? Like you could how he does with the rest of the team. You have enough depth now to kind of do that with the cornerbacks.
I think that's exciting. I think that's actually a good point. With the defensive line, how they could maybe do something with the cornerback too, of having Dane, Benford, kind of maybe even Kyle if he.
Yeah, well, Trey White's going to be out there the whole time, but they have, if they're up for it and you want to rotate, you want to give someone some time, give them some time.
I do want to see them. I know this was a test, but I would like to see them. The Titans really isn't that team, nor is the Ravens, nor is the Steelers. I guess the Dolphins could be a test of Tyreek and Waddle. I want to see them against.
I would say Aaron Rodgers, but there's
it's Tua. There's Tua.
Actually,
I want to see them against an elite quarterback, a very solid wide receiver, and a good offensive line.
When they play the Bengals, I think that's going to be.
I think the Chiefs is going to be that test. The Chiefs are going to be that test.
Oh,
because the Chiefs have a very good offensive line. So the D line, where I still think will do well, won't do
phenomenal
as dominant, and they still have solid wide receivers, and of course they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Right.
So I think that's really going to be the test. So
even who else do we play? Well, I had someone in my mind, but yeah, you're right. The Chiefs are definitely going to be that final exam, if you will, for the
midterm exam.
The midterm, yeah.
Midterm.
Well, technically
right before the bye.
Right before the bye. But I mean, these other, you're right. Like Tua, he's all hyped up right now. These Dolphins fans, you won against the Patriots.
Yeah, we'll see. But so before we transition here, I guess a couple more things would be the Bills are currently second place in the AFC East because of that Dolphins win. Which is funny, but again, that's something to take note of. But the Dolphins are a solid team. I don't think their win was very impressive, but you got to give them credit for winning.
If they continue to win, then I'll respect them as a legitimate team, like contender wise. You know what I mean? If they continue against a decent team, not the Patriots, where they don't even have a great offensive coordinator, and Mac Jones doesn't look good at all. Looks worse than he did in our playoff game last year. Yeah,
and then the Bengals get upset by the Steelers. The Steelers are going to become that frisky team. The Ravens look pretty good. Obviously, the Broncos choked. The Raiders, as I've been talking about this whole time, I just don't think are better than the Chargers or Chiefs. And then the Chiefs look pretty good. So I think that's to take note of. Before we actually head off though to talk some Sabres, who surprised and then name one player who surprised you and one player that disappointed you.
So the disappointment player, I think, for me is Zach Moss. That's an easy one because it's just
it was built up that he was healthy now.
Yeah, he even said it. I'm finally feeling good. He's finally healthy, fully healthy. Preseason he looked very decent. He had a couple runs where he got stuffed, bounced out to the side, and got an extra 10 yards. He looked great. And then to go in and fumble the way he did and just not produce, he's the most my disappointment player. And honestly, did you say who surprised me?
Yes, sir, baby.
Honestly, that whole defensive line, I'm going to say. I didn't think 7 sacks was in the card for the evening. I thought at least 3, but 7. I mean, come on. And one of those being Jordan Phillips, and then
2 of those was Jordan Phillips.
2. Yeah, sorry, 2 of them. And that's without Ed Oliver, who I think would have been more if you had constant pressure with him too.
Phillips had 2, Vaughn had 2, Groot had 1. I think Basham had one. I think
Yeah.
Epinesa had one as well. Something.
I
like
gotta
that.
say Diggs too, though, because he was shut down a lot of last season.
You know what's a remarkable stat? Stephon Diggs had 8 catches for 122 yards and a touchdown on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
That matched his total last year for 100-yard games.
Yeah.
Is that not remarkable?
It is remarkable.
He had 8. He had 8 his first year.
Mm-hmm.
In 16 games. He had won 17 games last year.
Yeah.
I'm thinking other people.
No, it's because honestly they double covered him the whole season.
I don't know. They double covered him. I think he had a good year, but he didn't have like.
No, it wasn't
He
spectacular
had a
because
Pro Bowl caliber year, but not an All Pro caliber year.
Allen and him were that whole plan was exposed that COVID year. Then when they went off, now you add Davis, who's also, fantastic, and he provided in that game. Also, Jalen Ramsey's a big factor for that. I called Josh Allen trash 3 years ago, and Josh Allen's 3-0 against him in every game they've played. So
and he put up big stats.
Yeah, he put up big stats. Almost he let a perfect passer rating go. Are you kidding me? And then before this game, he was even like, "I'm not going to sit here and boost him up." You should. They own you. Josh Allen owns you and everything you own. Like you're his.
I would say disappointed. I would say Elam, because I don't think he played very well, and I don't find it that big of a deal that he got beat out. I think some people were like freaking out, oh my god, I can't believe it was 6-round pick. Like, listen, man, you gotta give Christian Benford credit. Like he played very well at training camp, and you know what? Also, I gotta say this: you gotta respect the coaching staff. Like, they put. I don't think it's as you can see, it was kind of unpopular to put a 6-round pick over your 1st-round pick, but. Listen, man, I would tell you, if I would have told you on Thursday who should have been the starting corner, I probably would have said Benford too, because I think
he played better in the preseason.
He played better, and he played better. He was more consistent all training camp, so good for Benford. But I guess that's kind of like my surprise disappointment is that factor. It's like I'm surprised that Benford started over Elam, and then I'm just disappointed that I don't think Elam particularly backed up, I don't want to say the benching, but the backup role of playing particularly well. I think Benford played better than him.
No, I agree. And one thing I want to say about that is like people saying like, "Oh, Elam is playing worse than Benford, and he shouldn't because Benford was a 3rd-round pick,
6th-round pick,
6th-round pick. Sorry,
6th-round pick.
That was way off. 6th-round pick.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like that's a little disrespectful on Benford. I feel like he's put in the work. You know what I mean, and all the practice and everything. I think give Benford credit. Don't just take it away and be like, "Oh, Elam, you couldn't play." You know what I mean? Like you got to give him some credit.
No, you got. It's not everything's about your 1st-round pick. How you let him.
Exactly.
You got to give credit to the 6th-round pick.
Bills have had a lot of 1st-round picks that don't work out, and knock on wood, Elam works out, but
recently.
Well, not recently, but I'm gonna go back. I mean, you look.
Okay, in the McBean era, this is what McBean does, though. Like this is what Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott do. They draft really well deep in the draft. Dane Jackson was a 7th-round pick.
You're right.
Like Taron Johnson was a 4th-round pick. Levi Wallace was an undrafted free agent. Like they've been able to, other than Trey, be able to get these guys. I mean, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer when they resigned weren't really household names.
You're right.
And those dudes were Micah Hyde was a 5th-round pick and Jordan Poyer was a 7th-round pick. Like the highest starting round quarter in that secondary last night was Taron Johnson in the 4th round.
Yeah.
And if you take the nickel back out, it would be Mike High in the 5th round.
Yeah.
It's just remarkable.
You're right. Yeah. Didn't they run nickel defense the entire night? I heard Collinsworth going on about that.
Pretty much. I mean, when you have Taron Johnson, who's like
everyone was dogging on him for that holding play on Cup. That was smart. Instead of giving up 20 yards on the catch, he held, and then that was only 5 yards and a 1st down. That was very smart. He knew he wasn't going to be able to catch him.
I respected it.
Yeah. No, that's my little tidbit on Taron Johnson.
All I gotta say, man, what a 31-10.
Did you give your surprise player?
I did. Christian Benford.
Oh.
I thought he played well.
Oh, there was a mixture. Okay. Sorry.
I combined them. But, what a way to start. 31-10, 21-0 in the second half.
Right.
Could have been worse. They scored with 9 minutes to go up 31-10. If Moss doesn't fumble, this game is way even worse than.
Oh yeah, the over would have been hit if Moss didn't fumble.
No, I don't know. No, it wouldn't have.
Oh, we would have been like 6 points off still. It was 50.
The 52, man.
Oh, we would have
been
51. It would have been. No, it wouldn't have. They've been close to be scored, but they still would have been. No, they wouldn't have gotten it. Exactly. Yeah, but that's going to do it for our Bills topic for this week. We'll be talking more Bills, of course, later on the Betting on the Bills podcast, and we'll be right back with some Sabres right after this.
And we are back with the Buffalonian podcast here. Just Joe and I just chilling. Just wrapped up our Bills recap of an exciting week 1 win, and now let's transition to a little bit of some Sabres talk. Can you believe, Joe, that there's a Sabres game before the next Bills game?
No, I cannot actually, but it's exciting. I remember we went to the first preseason game last year, didn't we? Yes. Or was it the third one? It was the first few, and they lost. There's a video of us shaking our heads in KeyBank Center. It was a little tough, but look at the end of the season though. Look at where we are now. Didn't see that coming at the beginning for sure.
Didn't see the optimism, but
no.
Obviously, we get some Sabres hockey coming up this week with the prospect
challenge.
I
wish the Bills offseason was this short. Like Sabres just ended a couple months ago, and we're already back. You know what I mean?
The Sabres ended what?
Yeah, but we
April?
had NHL, Stanley Cup we talked about. We did all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's a lot shorter of an off season.
No, you're right, because Sabres ended early April. Stanley Cup gets you to mid-June. Draft/free agency gets you to early July.
Yeah.
So really you only have
a month,
2 months,
nothing.
2 months of dead zone.
Right. And honestly, when we started this, the Bills were already in the off season, so it's even longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was glad we started it and grabbed a little bit of a following.
Let's put it this way: the Bills just played their first regular season game in
podcast history.
It was their first I guess the preseason, but that was the first it's been 7 months since a legit official game. I guess we had to wait a little bit longer for the Sabres too.
Right. Yeah, and it's the first one of the podcast history, which is kind of crazy.
The prospect challenge. So I didn't think of that. Oh, we probably should have made a bigger note of that.
Maybe
during the actual Bills segment, not the Sabres one. But
no, yeah.
Transitioning back to our
Sabres,
refocusing back to our Sabres talk. So obviously, it's really exciting. The Sabres are hosting the prospect challenge. Obviously, a lot of other interesting teams there in New Jersey, Ottawa, Montreal, Pittsburgh, and Boston. A couple of their top prospects are going to be there. I think Jake Sanderson was going to be there for Ottawa. I haven't really paid too much attention to the other stuff, but the Bills. I mean, God, now I'm talking about the Bills.
I know. Bills on the mind. Bills on the mind.
The Sabres. They have a very interesting roster. No Owen Power, no JJ Peterka, no Jack Quinn. So before I go into the actual roster, I think it's important to look at those three guys as not being on the roster. And I don't know what you think, Joe, but in my opinion, I think this shows that I think the Sabres expect these guys to be up with the big club next year.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I saw it on Channel 4, I think, last night. Watching local news, they were talking about how this is for the draftees. It's not for Peterka, Quinn, or Owen Power. This is for this fresh set, if you will. And I think, Owen Power's already proved he's going to be playing with the big club. He had a great 8 games, of course, like we've said many times, but he had a great little run. And I think Quinn and Peterka, that's that. They're in the.
They definitely are deserving of a shot.
Yeah, they get a shot at the big club, like you said, the big Buffalo Sabres hockey club. Yeah,
I like what you said though about this is for draftees of 2022, also for international players of playing. We see on the roster we're gonna have Alexander Kisakov, who was a draft pick.
Yeah.
Coming home from Russia, probably going to play with the Amherst. Josh Bloom, obviously, I know he's Canadian, played in juniors, but hopefully he might move over. I think actually he's going to stay in juniors now that I think about it. But there's a couple interesting guys, Matt Lindgren, who we all liked in the 4th round.
Right. Yeah.
Also playing obviously the headliner, Yuri Kulich and Matt Savoy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. Honestly, Savoy, I'm looking forward to a lot just because it's our first pick. I think everyone is. Kind of the Elam situation we were talking about, first round pick. It's hyped up, but
I think Yuri Kulich, man, he has played pretty well too.
Yeah. I think it's going to be.
I'm not saying we have a Christian Benford, Kyle Living.
No. Man, we got to get Bills off the mind. They're just creeping in at all times.
It's hard not to think about them. But, again, I think it's really exciting. You get to see Matt Savoy up in action. Obviously, he wasn't healthy for development camp in July.
Right, yeah.
So now, Sabres fans have you guys have an amazing opportunity to see what he's all about. I do have to ask you, though, what is your thoughts on him wearing the number 93?
Who is Savoy?
Yeah. I think that's gross. I think it's a terrible
What?
Before I
That's why I had to do a double take to make sure you were talking about Savoy.
No, that might be just a sign number for this. I hope it is, because if his number is.
What if he takes 15? John Hayden's not there anymore.
What about Jack Eichel? You know that homage to Jack Eichel. Yeah, I don't know if we could use that number.
Homage to Jack Eichel, who switched his number from that. I think 15. That's what I would see him wearing. Something like that. 93. If he sticks with 93, I'm like, what?
Ooh,
yeah,
that's
like, I'm gonna be sitting up in the 200s at Key Bank just vomiting the entire time.
Yeah, I saw that, and I it wasn't most. It's not a very cool number, but you know, also you have guys like Osseri Laskin, Lucas Rozek, Linus Westbaum, guys that are are in the AHL, getting in their 20s, mid 20s. It's time for them to kind of make an impact, maybe on the NHL level. And
right.
I don't know if they have the spots or necessarily the talent to do so, but if they can step up to be big time producers in the AHL, again, that helps the depth. That helps with your competitiveness across the entire organization. It also helps when you're gonna have guys like Savoy down there soon, guys like Kulich, who I think is coming over. I don't know if we talked about that in the pod, but it is talked about that the Sabres have informed his team in the Czech league, that he will not be returning to their club, that he will be coming to North America.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think Kulich wants to compete for a spot with the Sabres. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he's gonna play with the Amherst, but also Kisakov, is gonna come play as well. Obviously, Rosine is going to play in AHL as well. So, Rochester has a little bit of talent. I just got to say, none of the goaltenders are very notable for me, but can you guess this one goalie's name for the Sabres? It is hysterically funny.
You want me to look at it and see it? Or like
No, I'll tell you. His name is Beck Warm.
WARM?
WARM, and then BECK for his first name.
Beck.
And it only would be funny, I know funny is not great grammar, if his name was Luke. Lukewarm.
Oh my God!
I saw that. It's not even the first thing that I thought of was looked a couple names to hit. The Savoy 93 hit right away.
Yeah.
And the Beck Warm, the connection to me.
Beck Warm. Ugh. What? I'm not gonna that name, right? Because I know there's a couple people I've known named Beck.
Listen. I'm gonna say this. I really can't be making fun of too many people's names. Like my last name is Lost. Like I think.
Right. My name's Joe. My first name's Joe.
Listen. Lost rhymes with boss stuff. So come on now.
It does, but it's also a loss.
Well,
The Lost Boys.
Hey.
Of Neverland.
Oh my God. The theater. the bills that pop out in the theater kid in Europe are definitely popping out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So transitioning from obviously also they had the Sabres also had their fan fest this week.
Right.
Saturday, I believe, the 17th. So that's also an exciting opportunity to potentially have a good time. Again, the Sabres season's right around the corner, and we're really excited about it. So continuing our Sabres talk, not talking anymore about the Prospect Challenge per se, but talking about some other kind of news. Ryan Miller, obviously, the all-time leader in Sabres history for wins, but also
favorite players in Sabres history, for sure.
Yeah, and also, the all-time leader in U.S. history for goaltender.
Yeah.
And he is going to be in the USA Hockey Hall of Fame. So,
well deserved. I
think it is well deserved. I think listen. What do you
give a round of applause to him,
dude? What do you give for Ryan Miller, man?
He's getting his number retired in Buffalo, and he's now going to the USA Hockey Hall of Fame. How can you want a better? How can you want a better career, like buttoning it up than that?
I think it's going to be interesting in a couple years if he gets. I don't think he's going to get in the Hockey Hall of Fame, but we never know. You know what? He might, because I think him having the most wins for an American-born goaltender means something. He played really well in the Olympics in 2010. He won the Vezina, had one of the more dominant goaltender seasons of all time.
Right.
He played on some pretty good Sabres teams, so maybe he gets in, maybe he doesn't. But I think again, congrats to getting into this Hall of Fame.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Congratulations to I have a bobblehead of him from when I was like 10 years old.
I have a jersey of him.
Do you? I have an old one, like that it said Buffalo Sabres on the chest with the sword in it. You know what I mean? Like old classic style, like a long time ago.
I feel like we're going to see a lot of the goat heads.
Did you hear the new retro throwback might be a red the red and black is back. The blue and yellow goat head instead of the slug.
I saw that.
What do you think of that?
I think it's gross. Okay.
The goat head's red and black.
I think the slug is gross.
But that's
I don't think
a retro throwback. You know what I mean?
I don't think switching out the slug for the goat head really makes it all that better.
No.
It doesn't.
The goat head is looked upon by many as our age as a triumphant return.
You know what makes the goat head so good? Is that when kids look at it, they don't say, "Oh, that's a goat head." They go, "Oh, that's a dragon."
Exactly.
I'm just being honest.
No, it looks mean.
Blue and gold, are very I'm not an artist.
They're two of the primary colors. You know what I mean?
They're pretty chill colors, like black and red, like the eyes
aggressive.
Being red.
Yeah,
like this man looks like a dragon, and like it's a little scary. I'm not gonna lie, when you were a kid.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can definitely agree with that. I have a little one from when I was little. Still, I have one incoming right now. Red and black, you know, I got it for $19 on a Chinese wholesale website. So I've got
you got a name on the back of that?
I do. I have
you can tell?
I forget. It was between two names. It was
You don't even remember what name you chose?
because I ordered it like a month ago. That just takes so long to get here.
Oh my god, of course that's a rip off.
It was either Tuck, right? It was either Tuck or it was Tage Thompson. And I think I went with Thompson. You know what? I'm gonna look right now.
While you're looking, absolutely, man, just got something we talked about. Let's transition into our final two talking points of the Sabres. Obviously, we're continuing the talking about.
It was Tage Thompson.
About talking about the people in the division, how the Sabres compare to them. Also, we're gonna, even without Mike, we're gonna continue to talk about, what our second pairings look for defensively for the Sabres. So first, let's talk about the Leafs. Obviously, Toronto haven't won a playoff series in nearly our lifetime. 2004, I believe, was the last time they've won one, and they were close last year. Lost in Game 7 to Tampa at home, and they blew it.
Yeah,
they have a really good team. They still have a really good team. Obviously, they're gambling a little bit, putting in Matt Murray as their goalie. Obviously, they're better than the Sabres, and they're finish higher than the Sabres, but, it's an interesting rivalry. I think it's unfortunate that I believe they only play 3 times all year because of how, the schedule broke down.
Right.
Which is just, I think the Sabres-Leafs is the biggest rivalry for the Sabres is the Leafs. Now, some people might say it's the Bruins, but, personally, I think it's the Leafs, and I don't understand why they would only play 4 times a year and only 1 time in KeyBank.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's ridiculous, but
yeah, you got to split it up evenly. I think you know what I mean.
I think they got to play 4 games. I think they got to play like I think there's certain people in your division that you play 4 times, certain people in the division you play 3 times, and I think Leafs and Sabres need to play 4 times.
They should.
If Tampa and Florida play 4 times, they're right next to each other.
And the Sabres and the Leafs are the 2 teams. I mean, the Leafs can't make it past the first round of the playoffs, but in the next within the next decade, I mean, those are gonna be the 2 teams battling it out for that bottom spot. I feel like in the next couple of years, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see.
If the Sabres really turn it around and get everything clicking, the Leafs were their kryptonite this past season. At least
they had some good rivalry games. Obviously, the Heritage Classic won the Sabres way 5-2. So
yeah,
I think it'll be another incredible season for rivalry, and hopefully the Sabres can again, I guess with playing 3 games, if they win 2 out of 3 games, they could win the season series, I guess. So I guess that's kind of
right. Yeah,
the one positive I would say.
Yeah,
I mean, small one, but okay. So let's go into our the second defense pairings. Obviously, Mike, Joe, and I last week all said that Rasmus Dahlin and Matthias Samuelsson would be our top defensive pairings, and so. Joe, do you want me to start, or do you?
Yeah, you kick it off because I got to go into my notes and find out who I actually had.
I'll kick it off. So obviously, I think the number 3 defenseman on the Sabres is pretty obvious in Owen Power.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked a lot about the 8 games, but I truly believe that throughout the 82 game season, yes, he'll have his ups and downs, but I think he'll be mostly good than bad, and I think he'll be the number 3 defenseman on the team. I think what gets interesting for me is who's the 4th defenseman. And
is it Lyubushkin?
It matters is
because that's who I have with Owen Power.
See, it matters is your 4th defenseman your best fit for Owen Power, and that would be Lyubushkin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Jokiharju.
Oh, you're saying I have Lyubushkin. How do you proper? Is it Lyubushkin? Is that how you would say it? Or Lyubushkin?
Lyubushkin.
That's who I have Power in Lyubushkin.
Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, but
yeah. Let us know.
I think
viewers.
Lyubushkin is a very good physical defenseman, very good defensive defenseman, but is horrific offensively, and he kills all of his defense partners' offense. And he had a problem last year in the playoffs with, he was paired with Morgan Riley for the Leafs, who is a very good offensive defenseman, and he killed Owen Power. He killed Morgan Riley's offense a little bit. So I don't think you want that to happen to Power. I think, listen, I'm not a big Jokiharju guy. Maybe he could bounce back. him and Power did play pretty decent at the end of the last season. I think they're gonna roll with that to begin the year. Give Yoki Haru that first shot, just because I think it's a better fit for Power at the current moment.
What about Bryson? What are your thoughts on him?
I don't like Bryson that much. I think he's, I'm a big analytics guy, but I think the analytics overrate him a little bit because I think he plays very weak minutes. So what I mean by that is I don't think he plays against top competition.
Right, his stats are kind of inflated because it's not necessarily top tier competition.
He's not good in front of the net. He's turns the puck over way too much. He's not good in transition. He's just kind of a dude. So he's just kind of a dude to me.
Just a dude.
He's just a bomb pair dude. So again, I think Yoki Haru is. I don't know if I would say Yoki Haru at this current moment is your fourth best defenseman. I think he has the potential to be, and I think right now he has the fit to be with Owen Power, who is I think clearly your third best defenseman. I think that's where we go.
Starting the season, just coach wise, I think. Stat wise, you put Lyubushkin with Power and then see what happens. You know what I mean?
Listen, the Lyubushkin argument with Power isn't a bad one. Of like, hey, you want to have a steady defense and veteran with him in case he struggles. My fear would just be like Owen Power. I think one of his strengths in the NHL is going to be his ability to create offense, carry the puck around. But he also feeds off his defense partner,
right? And
if your defense partner every time gets the puck just shoots it or at someone's shins or just blows the cycle and has to cycle it back instead of making a play on it. I think Yoki Haru has the potential to make some plays one-on-one in favorable situations based off Power's offense. So that's where I would go. Obviously, Joe, I think you have a good choice too. I think it's it's really a 50-50. It's a coin flip.
Yeah. And next time Mike is on for the next Buffalonian podcast, we'll get his out of him. We'll have to tally them all up. But at the end of the day, mine is Power and Lyubushkin, and yours is Power and Yoki Haru.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, well that's going to cap it off for the Buffalo Sabres topic for today, and we'll be right back with the rundown after this. We are back with the Buffalonian podcast, and I will be taking the rundown for this week. So we're going to start it right off with some Blue Jays news, and it's been another successful week for the Blue Jays. They ended up splitting the final two games of the road series in Baltimore to win the series 3-1. Then they went to Texas to take on the Rangers, which was a solid road series win. They just started this huge 5-game series versus the Rays and started with Monday's win. Started out with a win. Can't argue with that. The Jays finished that home series versus the Rays on Thursday. They will then play Baltimore at home, this time for a weekend set. Might be able to bring it home in Baltimore again. Might be able to take the win. So the Jays currently sit at 79-62, which is a good for second in the AL East and presently tied with the Mariners for top AL wild card spot. The Jays also sit 5.5 games back off the Yankees, who they could pull it off and surprise the division win. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, me being a Yankees fan, I'm rooting against it, but for the Buffalonians' sake, we got to stay impartial, right? We got to stay impartial. The Jays were led by ace Alek Manoah, 8 innings, and he gave up 1 run and striking out 5. While Alexandro Kirk had a solid 3-hit game to pace the Jays' attack. Let's hope for a strong play from the Jays down the stretch here, and go Jays. So we're going to move right into the Bisons here, and the Bisons had a very solid series versus Gwinnett. Only playing 5 games since Sunday was rained out. The Bisons won the series 3-2 after winning the first 3 games of the stand, and could be a missed opportunity for the Bisons to only win 3 games, but we shall see. And the Bisons now sit at 69-64 and 5 games back off Durham. The highlight of the week for the Bisons was Wednesday night's thrilling 10-7 win. The Bisons' offense was on fire, with pounding 11 hits and 3 home runs, led by Vinny Capra's 2-out, 2-run bomb in the 6th. A solid week for the Bisons after struggling for a little. Let's hope it continues, and go Bisons. Let's go Buffalo. And that's going to do it for the rundown, and we'll be right back with Would You Rather in trivia after this. We're back, and I have Would You Rather this week. So Dom,
rundown and Would You Rather.
Rundown and Would You Rather back to back.
You really got to fill in with Mike not being here.
Exactly. And Dom, you're gonna pay some nice homage to Mike in doing the trivia this week. It's a bittersweet moment. Mike's never missed a trivia, but Dom will do him justice. But without further ado, let's get into my Would You Rather question for the week. So this is based off a little bit of Aaron Rodgers' situation, right? Would you rather have a core of more rookie receivers, right? Sammy Watkins,
Like Green Bay based.
Green Bay,
washed veterans and rookie receivers.
exactly. Or would you have a core of good veterans who are at a high injury risk?
Huh.
Develop those wide receivers into, you know what I mean? But it's going to take some time, or send out older wide receivers that are very injury prone.
Well, it matters what kind of team I am.
Say you're the Buccaneers.
On the Bucks with Brady.
With Brady.
Oh, definitely.
You have an older
Honestly,
team.
they do have that. Like Chris Godwin just got
Marquise
hurt.
Brown. No,
he's on the Cardinals.
That's the Cardinals. Yeah, no.
But
Julio Jones.
No,
I meant.
but Julio Jones gets injured once a year.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin just came off ACL surgery and injured his hamstring. Mike Evans was a little bit banged up in the Sunday night game as well. They don't have Gronk this year, but Gronk was usually always kind of banged up
Leonard
as well.
Fournette, too. Older guy.
Yeah, so I would say...
It's basically the Bucs versus the Packers. Starting over versus...
I'll put it this way. If I was Green Bay, I'd want the veterans with the high risk. Because I need people that can get open, and I'll take
actually catch the ball.
Actually catch the ball and stone to them. If I was like a team like Detroit or Jacksonville, kind of a younger team, up-and-coming team, like I would... The wide receivers that are younger and more inexperienced, like I can groom. They have opportunities to like. It's kind of like James Cook. James Cook fumbled the ball, and the Bills are a very good team. Where if you fumble the ball, you're probably not going to touch the ball that often.
Right.
So like for a rookie wide receiver, like if he drops the ball on like the Bucs, he's not going to get another opportunity. But on the Lions, like next play he's in.
Right.
So yeah. I think it matters what team. If I was a rebuilding kind of up and coming team, I would take the rookies. But if I was an older team going for my last hurrah, going for it like the Bucs are, I would take the veterans with the high injury risk.
I have to agree with that. I definitely, if I were Brady going for one last Super Bowl run before he retires and hopefully reconciles with Giselle, I would definitely be hoping for.
It's Gazelle.
No, it's Giselle.
Is it?
Yeah,
Giselle. I thought it was Gazelle.
No, it's Giselle.
Really?
Yeah. It's a gazelle is a leaping
Gazelle. It's Giselle.
Yeah, it's Giselle. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, no.
The more you know.
Yeah, no. She's off in Puerto Rico or Punta Cana somewhere, just like.
Of course. She sent a tweet out.
Did she?
Supporting the man.
Oh, she's supporting him?
Yeah. It's like, go Bucks, go Brady. At Tom Brady.
Oh, wow. Wow, look at that.
The comments under the tweet.
Oh, I can imagine the Twitter warriors come out. Yeah, holy cow.
So, that was like a Would You Rather, Joe.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
I know I'm your only real victim, but we'll see what the viewers have to say as well.
Right.
So obviously, as Joe said, I am taking the trivia. I struggle with this, man. Like I didn't really know what to do. Mike usually does this.
Yeah.
I see.
Normally pins Dom and I against each other a little bit.
I know. So now I feel like the best way to pay homage to Mike is like come up with like enough questions, like hard enough questions where like you don't get any right, like you don't really do with him. So
okay, we're already starting with that. You got after Teddy Roosevelt, you fell off. If I recall correctly.
I'm a little past my prime.
All right, hit me.
All right. So for the Bills question, I'm doing what Mike normally does: Bills question, Sabres question, kind of, and then Buffalo area kind of question. So
okay.
Bills question: Who was the lowest grade Bills offensive lineman according to PFF in Week 1's win versus the Rams?
Lowest grade. Spencer Brown?
No. He was actually third.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Lowest graded. Bates?
No. Saffold.
Was it really?
Roger Saffold had a 50.0.
Oh, wow. Was I close with Bates at least?
Bates had a 51.
Okay, so
then Brown had a 56.
Okay.
Morris had like a 65.5, and then Deion Dawkins had a 72.
I knew Deion was...
No, if I asked like who had the highest, I knew you were gonna say Deion or Morris.
No, so. I thought it was between Bates and.
I'm surprised you didn't pick Bates first. I thought Bates was. I thought I would have said Bates.
Spencer Brown, he flubbed a couple times, so I didn't know if that. You know what I mean? That's kind of where my head was at.
But honestly, though, like if I was doing it in your shoes, I would have totally said Bates and would like been 100% like I'd be something that was Saffold. I mean, he would have been my third guess, but like
that's what I thought he would have at least been third from last. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I didn't think he was bottom tier. But all right, what's the Sabres one?
Ryan Miller has the most wins by American goaltender all time.
How many?
How many?
Okay, you're gonna let me know if I'm in the ballpark here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
100 something? Am I close?
No.
200 something?
Way more than 200.
525.
No, now you're
Too high? Okay. So in between, okay.
Yeah, in between 525 and 200.
Okay. 312.
A little higher. You're closer now, but you're high.
353.
Higher.
412.
Cold. You're too high.
Oh, I'm going with just 12. I don't know why.
I'll give you one more guess.
393.
Oh, it's 391.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god, I was close at the end. I wouldn't count that as an actual win because I guessed like
there's no
eight
way.
numbers. But yeah, at least the last one I was somewhat close. But
all right, 0 for 2. Let's see. I think this one. Honestly, though, I have to admit, I think this one's a softball. So.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm gonna say that, then I'm not gonna be able to get it.
You know, we talked about Forest Law, and I don't know if it was last week or the, end of season 1 finale about how it was first, created in 1849, I believe.
The cemetery?
Yeah, the cemetery.
Yeah.
What president's buried there?
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt, that buddy.
Yeah, I know. Is it Oh my god. Hang on.
The fact that you didn't answer it very quickly gives me some hope.
What is it? It's not Teddy.
No, it ain't Teddy.
No, is it FDR?
No. You're not gonna get it.
No, it's Woodrow Wilson?
No. I'll give you one hint. It is probably the most irrelevant president of all time.
Like, are we talking early presidency?
Within the first 15.
John Adams?
Dude, he's relevant.
He was the worst one, though.
Yeah, but I meant, relevant, no one knows, anything that he did. I couldn't.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, if I give you the initials MF, would you get it? Millard Fillmore?
Oh, Suburban. Yeah, the hospital. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. No, that makes sense. No.
I can't name you a thing that man did.
That's why I wasn't getting it. I have no idea who he is. I mean, I know who he is, but
yeah.
I didn't know he did much for the city of Buffalo other than the hospital named after him. I don't know.
Nope. 13th president of the United States from 1850 to 1853.
Any big policies under his belt?
You know what it is? He is the last to be a member of the Whig Party while in the White House.
Oh, okay.
According to Wikipedia, so not a great source, but that is the factoid. Factoid. Thank you.
Yeah. No way I was getting Millard Fillmore. So we miss
that's
Mike.
for you, Mike.
Yeah, that's for you, Mike. We miss you, buddy, and hopefully Mike's back soon. He's not gone. Don't worry, he's coming back. So, without further ado, that's gonna finish it off for this episode of the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and I've been joined by Dom Loss and not Mike,
the ghost of Mike.
The ghost of Mike Marino. He's always with us. So, Dom, how do you always end these?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.